Marco Ben in Kabul. Marco, what exactly happened today and who was responsible?
So the Taliban fired, a group of fighters fired several rockets this morning from around 9 a.m. Towards the diplomatic quarter and the presidential palace while the Afghan president was giving a speech to mark the Muslim celebrations of Eid al-Adha. The rockets were actually heard on live TV as the message was being broadcasted. Afghan forces soon started firing on the attackers on the ground, but also from a helicopter. The attackers had taken refuge in a house located near a mosque where, according to authorities, hundreds of people had gathered to celebrate the holiday. The areas near the US Embassy and key military and government buildings have now been closed off as a security measure. This area is one of the most fortified of the capital. It's protected by numerous checkpoints and concrete walls. No group has claimed the attack yet, but the government was quick to blame the Taliban, as I mentioned at first, probably because the Taliban have yet to officially accept the ceasefire offered by the president and which was meant to come into effect yesterday. Right after the president extended his truce offer, the Taliban kidnapped 160 people in the north of the country, and these civilians were later rescued, but it sent out a pretty clear message to the government.
Now, Marco, this attack, if it is in fact the Taliban, we've had attacks for months, either claimed by the Islamic State or the Taliban, this ahead of the parliamentary elections in October. What are authorities there doing to try and quell this violence?
Yes, so the Taliban, as you were saying, have recently stepped up their attacks on governmental forces. The most significant one happened earlier this month. It was a massive assault on Ghazni, a strategic city about 75 miles from Kabul. This was one of their most important operations in the past few years, and it took the Afghan and US forces more than 5 days to end the siege, during which many civilians were killed. Afghan forces are also battling a second major enemy in the country, the local branch of the Islamic State group, who has a lesser presence and recently suffered a big defeat in the north, but who remain extremely active by launching deadly suicide attacks, especially in urban areas like Kabul. So the government is heavily criticized by a large portion of the population and by political opponents who see it as weak and incapable of guaranteeing security, even in the capital. So this attack on the presidential palace during a speech of the president was pretty symbolic. So the government is facing a lot of difficulties, especially in the context of parliamentary polls due in October and a presidential election that's meant to take place in April.
Marco, thank you very much for that update. Marco Ben reporting there from Kabul.